So here we are again, another non-keyboard enthusiast reviewing a keyboard. But unlike the Keychron keyboard we reviewed some time ago, which was a very budget mechanical keyboard, this is kind of on another level. Now I'll be the first to admit that keyboards have never really piqued my interest, but the more keyboards I get sent, the more I begin to understand what keyboard enthusiasts and what they're looking for is all about. Because let's face it, other than the mouse, the keyboard is something that you're always interacting with on any computer system. So as I said, I'm no expert, but I know what I like and I like what I know. And this Lemokey L5 HE 8K keyboard is actually really good. And I'm going to be using this as my daily driver going forward. So in this video we're going to do an unboxing, we're going to have a look at the keyboard. Unfortunately I don't really have another high-end mechanical keyboard to compare it to, but I have used other mechanical keyboards in the past, so I have a rough idea. But the purpose of this video is going from the perspective of someone that doesn't really know much about keyboards and just wants a really nice keyboard to play games with and send emails. Now of course this keyboard was sent free of charge for review from Lemokey, and no money has exchanged hands, but my opinions are my own and my own alone. And to be honest, I haven't actually spoken to the representative from this keyboard in over a month. So I'm just doing the video, reviewing it as if I've just paid the money for it and just to see how the keyboard is. They're not going to see the video before it goes live, etc, etc. So with that out of the way, let's do the unboxing and have a look at everything you get in the box and see what sort of features that we can see on the outside of the box, sort of the heavy hit features if you like. So looking at the back of the box, we can see that it's boasting mechanical Hall effect keyboard, 75% layout, web configurator, 8000Hz polling rate, light effects and sound absorbing foam. As we take the outer cover off, we can see the logo in this kind of holographic film. Looks pretty cool. So as we slide off the top cover of the box, we can see that it's got some protective foam with a little ring so you can put your finger in there and pull it off. I like those little touches. So let's go over accessories first. We have a keycap puller and a switch puller. We have a couple of screwdrivers. We have some replacement parts, screws, little rubbers, etc. And then we have a braided USB-C to USB-C cable, and they also give you the adapter to go from USB-C to USB-A. Now looking at the main keyboard itself, it will be no surprise that these keyboards are really heavy. All the CNC machine keyboards that I've used in the past, they're just extremely heavy. So as we take the cover off, we can see the keyboard in all its glory, and as I said, it's quite a heavy keyboard. I like heavy because it stays planted on the desk. Now as we turn it to the back, we can see that USB-C connection, we've got a selector switch, and then we have some RGB going all the way around that green anodized section. It actually looks really cool. The keycaps themselves are actually quite nice. They've gone for plain black, and then we do have select keys that are actually not completely clear see-through, but they're kind of smoked. So let's go ahead and pull one of these keycaps off just to have a look at the switch itself. I think these are like a mint green colour. Now all I know about these switches is their Hall effect, and they have a 0.01mm sensitivity. So as you can see, they are generous with the accessories and the spare parts. So you've pretty much got everything you need if something was to go wrong. Now, like I said, I've had this keyboard for just over a month and it's been really good so far. But everything's not sunshine and rainbows. As I said, it's my review, it's my opinions. And one of the things that I really don't like is to configure this keyboard, you've got to use a web application. Yes, you heard it right. You can't configure this keyboard, the lighting or anything on it unless you go on the internet and go to the web app. Now, I'm not a fan of these web apps because what happens if the company decides, flick, turns the server off, loads of people out there are going to have keyboards that they can no longer configure. But as it's a review, let's have a look at that web app itself before we start diving into any other bits on the keyboard. Now, of course, web apps are ridiculously convenient, and all you do is you go to the site, you click connect, you should see your keyboard there, and then you hit connect, and that's it. It's going to show you all the configuration. You can change the keys, the lighting, and you can see in real time the sensitivity. So if we use the space bar, we can see that we can stop it anywhere we want, and it is ridiculously sensitive. So that is great, but like I said before, web apps, not a massive fan. But you can customize absolutely everything here. Now, I'm not going to waste your time going through each and every one of the individual configurations, because what you really want to know is what this keyboard actually sounds like. Now, I've actually started appreciating a really nice sounding keyboard. Sound is part of a lot of things, including filming videos for YouTube. Now, what also is very important is lighting, and that's why I need to give a shout out to NEEWER for sending over one of their new panel lights. So this is the ultra-fine 192 LED light panel by NEEWER. It's mains powered and battery, so you get the option. You've got your Kelvin setting to set your colour temperature, and you've also got a brightness setting. It has a built-in LCD screen showing you all the information and battery life, and you also get the cable as well, so you can mains power it. Now just look at these Skittles without the light, and then look at it with the light. It looks so bright and vibrant. So as always, for the latest offers and more information, check out the link in the description below. So thanks again to NEEWER for sending that panel light, and I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check them out. But you might have noticed that the videos recently have got a lot better, a lot sharper, and the lighting's a lot better. That's because I've got one of those NEEWER panels just above me here, and then there's one to my left as well. And it just lights up the footage and just gives it that little bit more, and it just looks a little bit better. But anyway, big shout out to NEEWER. Now, keyboard enthusiasts will tell you exactly what they're looking for with the keyboard. Unfortunately, I don't really know. I just know when I'm starting to use a keyboard if I like it or not, and I do really like this keyboard. So let's go over some of the specs that the keyboard enthusiasts are really interested in. So as you can see, it's boasting top specs, top performance. So if we scroll down a bit, we can see it says magnetic switches, 0.01mm sensitivity, full metal body, and at 8000 Hz polling rate and scan rate. Now, all we need to know is the higher the number, the better. So 8000 Hz is just the frequency of how often the keyboard itself is refreshing and checking for those inputs, which obviously gives a lot lower latency. Now, one thing to mention here, this is a Kickstarter campaign. It's going to be released very soon, so I am a little bit late to the party, so I apologise for that. but it's coming up at $199. Now, due to tariffs and things, I just can't predict the future, so unfortunately I can't say how that's going to change in price. But it's about £160 here in the UK, and I do actually think that's really good value for this keyboard. I've seen more expensive keyboards that are not actually as good as this one, so I do think it's reasonable value for money. So let's go to the verdict, because I know I'm not a keyboard enthusiast, as I've said many a times, and I'm sure the people in the comments, if you point out some of the things that you like about the keyboard and maybe some things that you don't like, and that will help other people make a more informed decision. But what I can tell you is I really like this keyboard. It does have its downfalls. For example, those clear keycaps. I'm not really a fan when you can actually see the LEDs themselves, but I can fix that with a cheap keycap kit from the likes of AliExpress, etc. Now, of course, I did mention that web app, and maybe that's something that you can't get over. Now, if I was to give just a little bit of feedback to Lemokey, I would say give people the option of having a downloadable version of the configurator and obviously still have that web app. The web app is really convenient, don't get me wrong, and my computer is always connected online. So I hope you found the video informative, or at least a little helpful, and if you did, you know what to do by now. Like, subscribe, and then hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. I'm JP, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.